Well, we've had some pretty wild last couple days as far as the CIA, Hillary Clinton, and the globalists are attacking Donald Trump and all of us basket of deplorables. The CIA has a great track record. I mean, look back to the Gulf War. They said Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. And I know we gave him some, but we didn't find any. The CIA has a track record of overthrowing a lot of different countries also. There's one we need to talk about that may be classified. I don't believe it is anymore, but it goes all the way back to 1972, the Munich Olympic Games, where the Israeli athletes were taken hostage by members of the Black September, which is the Muslim Brotherhood, and then they were all killed in the helicopter trying to get away. That spawned a program called Wrath of God. It was taken out first by Golda Meir, and it was to eliminate any of the terrorists who had anything at all to do with the hostage situation in Munich. It got so that agents of the Mossad were calling up and ordering flowers to be sent to the target's family to be delivered at the exact same time that they were blown away. This happened quite a number of times. But there was one person who always seemed to get away, and his name was Nidal Assam. Nidal Assam was the logistics person who got passports, got all the weapons, got the grenades, trucks, you name it, that allowed the terrorist to get inside the Olympic compound where all the athletes were staying and to do their deed. And the Israelis thought they'd nailed Nidal Assam in Damascus in 1976 or 77, but it wasn't him. In 1979, the CIA passed on a location, Trondheim, Norway, and the Mossad double-checked it, and it turned out their double-checking was just as good as the CIA's information. It was garbage. But the Mossad or Ben Seth, one of those agencies, or however you want to talk about it, they sent 4 people, a 23-year-old, a 19, 18, and these were all males, and then a 17-year-old female up to Trondheim, and they were supposed to be going skiing. But they went up to Nidal Assam's house, and he was living under his own name. It was not the Nidal Assam that they were seeking. They knocked on the door, and this 28-year-old holding a baby and had a 3-year-old standing next to him, and they said, "Are you Nidal Assam?" And the kid said yes, and they shot him 3 times in the face with a .22. Bad thing was the neighbors saw it. Bad thing was this wasn't the Nidal Assam. It wasn't the hit. These 4 bumbling hitmen spent, I believe, 7 years in prison before they were finally exchanged for 150 or 200 real terrorists. People had blown up Israelis, blown up Americans, French, British, and they were languishing in Israeli prisons. But they did the prisoner exchange, and these kids came home, and they were pretty bitter because they were just sent out kind of like a wind-up doll, and they had really no training whatsoever other than how to shoot a pistol. But the real Nidal Assam, the Israelis, after the '81 invasion, they thought they had got him in Beirut. He was on the east side of Beirut, and my great uncle had a casino and a hotel there. He had moved over to Saudi Arabia during the Great Depression, about 1933, and had worked for Aramco, and then had worked for the Bin Laden construction firm. And it's this same Bin Laden that's supposed to have been in charge of 9/11. But Uncle Wayne had worked for Allen Dulles during World War II. And he told me this. He didn't tell me it in 81. He told me in 86. He'd moved back to Tucson, Arizona, and had a string of liquor stores throughout the Southwest with the money he got. But he didn't get money for his casino being blown up. Speaking of blown up, that's where we get with Nadal Assam. A truck bomb was laid out on the path that Nadal Assam was supposed to take. Turns out that wasn't Nadal Assam at all. More bad info from Buckley and the guys in the Beirut station. 64 people died in that blast. Now they eventually did find Nadal Assam, and he was working in Geneva for the World Health Organization, and he was the one who would okay all the shipments from Latakia or Tarsus down to Gaza. Those ships were not allowed to be touched by the Israeli Navy or any other Navy. No inspections needed. And of course, once they docked, you just wait 3-4 days, and all of a sudden the Katyusha rockets would be firing, RPGs would go flinging, and Simtex bombs would start going off all over Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, wherever it was. But the CIA, or an American agency of unknown acronyms, put together a group of hit people that went under the umbrella of the wrath of God. And I've heard it referred to as Wrath of God 2. I don't know if that's real or not. But we do know that Nadal Assam was terminated in a cafe in Geneva, Switzerland. And that was on September 23rd, 1983. And the retaliation for that was the blowing up of the barracks in Beirut, where we lost 241 Marines and an Army liaison and a Navy corpsman. But then that escalation had the New Jersey firing, I believe it was close to 400 rounds into the Becca Valley, and F-14 Tomcats doing attack runs up and down the Becca, and I believe close to 10,000 Syrians and Hezbollah and Iranians lost their lives in those attacks. But that's the type of crap the CIA pulls, and all the other DIA, NIA, NIS. You start throwing acronyms out there, and you're going to find that whenever there's a lot of killing and death going on, there has been in the background the black hand of the corporate globalists who want to have us into a perpetual war. Very similar, if you've not taken a look at George Orwell's 1984 with Richard Burton and John Hurt. I suggest you take a quick look at it, because we are looking at Newspeak, and that's what politically correct is. The Newspeak Dictionary. You need to look at it. This is Eric Miller, December 13th, 2016, signing off.